Imagine a man is walking in a desert and he is tired. The devas have seen the Buddha. We can learn Dhamma from devas who have realized this Dhamma. For some devas, it's like 5 days ago they learned Dhamma. There's another chance if we are born among devas. You are born with more wisdom and with higher qualities. What do you think about the human world? People have endless evil desires. Without getting trapped to the divinely happiness, learn from these programs how divine beings did merit in their past lives when they were human beings, and how they got protection in divine worlds, and how they were born among divine beings. Namo Buddhaya, Theravada Saranai. Now we are going to reveal the happiness in divine worlds. I think past few days you would have learned the suffering in the ghost world. Now we are going to reveal the happiness in divine worlds. Buddha had amazing ways of taming people. One way was telling the happiness of and telling the results of doing good deeds. And another way of taming people is telling the results of bad actions, revealing the consequences of bad actions. And another way is telling both, revealing the both, telling the results of doing of good actions, the consequences of good actions and bad actions, both. So some need to learn both, then only they will get tamed. Now we should remember one thing. We are learning about ghost worlds, that is to have shy and fear to do bad things, to be afraid to do bad things, and to feel shy and to have the fear to do bad deeds. And why do we learn about divine worlds? Is it just to stay for a long time in a divine world? No. We are learning about divine worlds because there's a protection in divine worlds. It's a good place to practice Dhamma. And the lifespan in divine worlds are very long. And in some divine worlds, Buddha's teachings are still new to them, because if you count the number of days for them from the passing away of the Supreme Buddha, for some divine worlds it's like 2 days. For some divine worlds it's like 2.5 days. So for some divine worlds it's like 4 days, like 5 days. The Dhamma is still new, and there are disciples who have seen the Buddha. When Buddha was alive, there are gods who have seen the Buddha in person and learned Dhamma and become enlightened beings. So after we break up, like after we die one day, if we can be born among devas by any chance, if we are unable, if we could not achieve fruits, if we could not become a stream entrant, or if we could not become an enlightened being in this life, there's another chance if we are born among devas. And that chance is extremely valuable and rare. And then you are born with more wisdom and with higher qualities. So if you practice Dhamma as a human being, if you practice good qualities as a human being, again you will get a chance to practice the Buddha's teachings among devas. In the human world, what do you think about the human world, dear devotees, dear children? When you look at the way human beings are behaving and the devices they are using, do they have a good environment to practice this Dhamma? Do they have the environment to protect virtue? So day by day, things that could corrupt people, things that could harm people, those things are increasing day by day. And because of those things, because of craving that people have endless evil desires, and they die being unable to fulfill them, and they again wish for them, and they are born again, they die again, they are born again, and they don't know where they are born again and again, and they go in this long journey of samsara, being born and dead again and again. So for beings who are wandering in a long journey like this, hearing the Buddha's teachings is a great protection for us. So from this program, we are trying to reveal the happiness in divine worlds. There are 6 divine worlds. One of the lowest divine world is Chatum Maharajika divine world. There are 4 great kings. That divine world is ruled by 4 great kings. Then Tavatimsa divine world is ruled by god Sakka. Then Yama divine world is ruled by god Suyama. And then the next divine world is Tusita divine world. And Tusita divine world is ruled by god Santusita god. And then the next divine world is Nimmanarati. So that divine world is ruled by Sunimmita god Sunimmita. So the last divine world is Paranimmita Vasavati. Paranimmita Vasavati divine world is like this. One day, do you know how many years in the human world compared to one day in Paranimmita Vasavati divine world? Well, 1,600 years, 1,600 human years is equal to one day in Paranimmita Vasavati divine world. So imagine the lifespan in divine worlds. So how could we get a birth in a divine world? Buddha has taught us some similes for obtaining a birth in a divine world. It's like this. Imagine there is a fish net to catch fish. When a man puts a fish net, fish will get caught to that net, and then that man will pull that net to sell them, or for whatever the thing he needs to do. So what happens? Sometimes some fish will escape. 1 or 2 fish will escape from this fish net. So birth in a divine world is also like that. It's like a fish escaping from a fish net or from a fish trap. A birth in a divine world is compared to a fish who escapes from a fish net. So see how rare it is. And then there's another simile. Imagine a man wants to catch some birds. Then he put a net to catch birds. But 1 or 2 birds will escape. In the same way, among the human beings, only very few people will have the chance to be born among devas. Why is that? They don't think about their next life. Human beings, they only think about this life. If they can dedicate the happiness for the upcoming births, and for the sake of the happiness they could experience in this life, in a spiritual way, beings could fall into that category, or fall into that those rare human beings, like equal to those few birds who could escape from a bird net, from a bird trap. So, dear devotees and dear children, Supreme Buddha understood all these things because he had great wisdom to understand these things. He had great concentration. With those abilities, after becoming a Buddha, by understanding and realizing the true nature of the whole world and about our life, Buddha was able to show a clear path. Buddha was able to take examples also. It's like this. Imagine a man is walking in a desert and he is tired and he is thirsty, hungry, exhausted. He's exhausted. But then Buddha sees this person who is walking on a road. He is thirsty and very tired, exhausted. So, but Buddha sees the direction where he is heading to. You know where he is heading to? Is he heading to a forest or to a village? No. He is heading to a pit, to a charcoal pit. Or maybe he is heading to a cesspit, to a pit where there is excrement. So it's like a person is living in the human world with so much troubles, but after the human life is over, he is falling into that charcoal pit or to that pit full of excrement. That's like getting birth in a bad world. But here there is a man who is exhausted, thirsty, fainted, but when he walks in a desert, after some time, he sees a beautiful pond. And he jumps to that pond and drinks water. That's like attaining Nibbana. Another person sees, he walks and he sees a beautiful palace, 7 stories, a beautiful mansion. He goes to the 7th floor and takes food and enjoy. That's like a birth in divine world. So through these programs, we are trying to teach you the happiness in divine worlds. But even if we are born among devas, out of all the devas like compared to some soil on your fingernail. Imagine you take some soil to your fingernail and just think only the devas who are compared to the soil on the fingernail will only have the chance to come back to the divine world again. So even we are born among devas, yet there's a huge danger if we do not practice Dhamma in this life and again practice Dhamma in divine worlds. There's another advantage when you are born among divine. There's a huge advantage when you are born among devas. When you are born among devas, the devas have seen the Buddha, not like us. They have seen the Buddha and they learn Dhamma from Buddha in person. When Buddha was alive, they have seen the Buddha and they became enlightened beings after learning Dhamma from the Buddha. For them, it's like, for some devas, it's like 5 days ago they learned Dhamma. Or for some devas, it's like 10 days ago they learned Dhamma, because the lifespan is long there compared to the human being's lifespan. So it's like 2,600 years, close to 2,600 years Buddha has passed away. So human beings' lifespan is like maximum these days 60 or 70 years. So like when it comes from the previous generation to the next generation, they will change the Dhamma, they will tell their own ideas. So the Dhamma might change when it comes from generation to generation. But in divine worlds, it's not like that. Today the Dhamma is protected because the Dhamma was written in books. It was preserved. So among devas, the Dhamma was preserved in their mind. The Dhamma was realized by them, and we can learn Dhamma from devas who have realized this Dhamma. Brahmas from Brahma worlds will come to divine worlds and preach Dhamma. That happens in divine world. So, do you like to be born among devas who have realized this Dhamma, who has utmost compassion, loving kindness, no evil thoughts, and they are discussing Dhamma. So, birth in a divine world is a great assurance for us in this era. So, if we keep on doing good deeds, and even after practicing Dhamma very well, and yet if we could not attain maybe the first level in this path of Dhamma, if we do not become a stream entrant, yet we have the chance to be born among devas. And again, once we are born among devas, we are born with more wisdom, and we are born with more effort, and we are born with more confidence in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Again, we will delight in the Buddha's teachings, and without getting trapped to the divinely happiness, just like some human beings when they come to the human world, once they are born in rich families, once they become beautiful, once they get a beautiful voice, they become proud and they forget the Buddha's teachings and they forget the way they got that. And they become greedy. But once you're born among devas, the other devas will remind you this Dhamma, and some devas can see their past lives. Then you will immediately remember what you have done in the past life, and again you will stick to the Buddha's teachings. So don't you think that taking birth and being born among devas is a great protection for us? It is. In a time duration where Buddha is not there, the great lineage of Arahants has been broken. We don't have Arahant Sariputta today. We don't have Arahant Moggallana today. We don't have Arahant Mahinda today. We don't have Arahant Mahinda Mahathera today. So we are guided by great teachers like Pingat Loko Swamin Wahanse and by the Sangha. We are protected by the Dhamma. Therefore, join with us. Join for these Dhamma programs. Listen to these sermons continuously and learn about divine worlds very well, and then live life according to the way how divine beings lived previously in human worlds, and how learn from these programs how divine beings did merit in their past lives when they were human beings, and how they got protection in divine worlds, and how they were born among divine beings. So join us and learn from these sermons, watch these sermons, watch the upcoming sermons, and learn how human beings became divine beings, and finally they were able to gain utmost happiness and live happily by realizing the Four Noble Truths. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya.